Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and each week I'm helping you get out of your head so that you can truly have it all. Let's do it. What's going on, my awesome friend? Welcome back to the show. I am Matthew Bivens, and I am very happy to hang out with you today to talk about having it all, creating and experiencing your abundant, loving life. If you are new to the podcast, I just got to say welcome. This is going to be a lot of fun. You're going to get some stuff today that is hopefully going to shake up a little bit the way that you define having it all, because here on this program, we absolutely believe that you can have it all. If you don't think you can have it all, then this is not the show for you, because every episode, every conversation I have is about having it all, that abundant, loving life. Because remember, having it all has nothing to do with your possessions. It has nothing to do with anything happening outside of you. Your money, your cars, the relationships in your life, your degrees, whether or not people are praising you for how smart or awesome you are. Having it all has nothing to do with that stuff. Because here, having it all is about your abundant, loving life. And that has everything to do with how you are experiencing yourself within your life. Are you feeling abundant? Are you aligning with abundance? Are you feeling love? Are you being love? And are you experiencing those things across the 6 dimensions of life? Faith, family, friends, fitness, finance, and fun. If you can say yes to those things, then you can say that you have it all. All right, this is not some subjective thing. I literally put together that framework so that you could do a little audit on yourself and say, am I being abundant? Am I being love in these 6 areas of life? And if you could say yes, then boom, you've got it all. You're there. And if there's an area that you aren't saying yes to, then that's an area for you to put a little bit of attention on and a little bit of focus on. And so in today's conversation, we're going to address one of those F's. We're probably going to address several of those F's in today's conversation because we're talking about hobbies. And I'm going to be sharing with you the 3 different types of hobbies that you definitely want to have in your life or be working towards incorporating into your life. And I'm sure there was a part of you, or maybe when you read this, that was like, oh, hobbies, those are those things that I used to have, but now I don't have any time for. I'm too busy. I'm way too busy to have hobbies. And if that was you, then this is going to be a great conversation because I'm going to give you a different way to look at it. I'm going to shift up your paradigm a little bit around the concept of hobbies as well as the concept of busyness. So I'm excited about that. Let's kick things off with talking about some magic. Remember that magic is your ability to influence self, others, and life in an empowering way. And so I like to stop and pause before we dive into the meaty conversation. I like to stop and pause and reflect on magical moments because one of the byproducts of having it all is creating many more magical moments in your life. That's one of the ways that you know you're having it all, when you look around and you're like, oh my gosh, look at how I've influenced myself. Look at how other people around me are showing up. And look at how life is just dropping things into my lap. That's why we stop and pause and reflect on magic. So my magic on this episode has to do with doing my daughter Maya's hair. So Maya, she's 3.5 years old, and she has the most awesome hair. She has these golden curls, like tight golden curls, a big head full of curls. And Sarah is usually the one that does Maya's hair. And yesterday I felt inspired to jump in there and help out. And I realized that I don't do that a whole lot. I don't spend a ton of time actually combing out Maya's hair. I will wash her hair in the bathtub, shampoo and conditioner, and do all that stuff. But for her type of hair, in order for it to be maintained well and keep the health, we really have to comb it out, comb through any tangles. We apply all these different oils and different things because Sarah has done so much research and has put a lot of time and energy and love into figuring out the best products for Maya's hair, because we don't really want to put a lot of chemicals and all that stuff in her head. So Sarah has consulted with natural hair consultants. She's literally talked to these folks who specialize in that. She's done so much research. We've tried all these different products. And so, in order to really maintain Maya's hair, we have to put these different products in and spend time kind of combing it all out. And last night, Sarah and Maya were sitting on the floor and Sarah was doing her hair. And I just realized that I don't spend a lot of time doing that. And it takes a long time. It's like well over an hour to sit there and go through her entire head. So I yesterday asked if I could jump in and help out. And, by the time I approached Sarah, she had almost the whole thing done, just one small section. And man, let me tell you, it was challenging. I think the biggest part is that I just wasn't good at it. And so I was pulling on Maya's head and tugging, and, she wasn't loving having her hair pulled. And I was just doing my very best to hold the hair while using the comb, and my arms are getting tired. I'm like, wow, this is serious. This is legit. And so it was just magical having that experience, because that's an area that I want to grow in. Right? I want to look back on these times when Maya was young and see that I was, a big part of loving on her in that way, taking care of her hair, because I know that hair can be a huge part of a person's identity. And Maya has such unique hair that I believe that it's going to be, something that she comes to identify with as she gets older. So that I see that as magic. I also see it as gratitude. I have a lot of gratitude to Sarah for spending the hours and hours and hours that she does on Maya's hair. And I see it as an opportunity for myself to step into that more and, spend that quality time with Maya more, loving on her in that way. So that's a little bit of magic, gratitude, and opportunity all rolled into one.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
So now, if you feel inspired, reflect on some magic in your life. You can even hit pause on the episode so you can just think about how you have influenced yourself, influenced others, or influenced life in an empowering way, so that you can really connect it back to the idea of you having it all and creating your abundant, loving life. All right, let's jump into today's episode talking about hobbies. So there really are countless number of hobbies that are out there. Basically, you can pick anything. That could be a hobby pretty much. But there are certain types of hobbies that I believe are a part of having it all, living that abundant, loving life, and living a life where you feel fulfilled, you feel replenished, you feel at peace, you feel joy. Hobbies can play a huge, huge component in creating that overall experience that you want in your life. And so for me, hobbies have provided a lot. There's been so many benefits from me having hobbies all throughout my life, including stress relief. Some of my hobbies allows me to just get back into my center and find some peace. I've had hobbies that are around improving my physical health, so keeping me fit, keeping me active. Hobbies that have helped me to perform better at work and just be more creative at my craft. And I believe hobbies can also help you stay in that abundant mindset. Because in order to have a hobby, you have to have a certain relationship around time. Because you can't fully enjoy a hobby unless you've let go of time scarcity. Otherwise, when you're in your hobby, you're thinking about, I only have this much time, or I should be doing these other things, or I don't even have this time to begin with. What am I doing? So, and that, by the way, is something that is very, very easy for us to be doing these days, being all caught up in the time scarcity. So when you have a hobby and you've cultivated a really, empowering relationship with that hobby, it means to some degree you've let go of that time scarcity. And I bet, or I wouldn't be surprised if you felt something come up around just the topic of hobbies and it touched on some of the time scarcity stuff. And as I was doing a little bit of research for this episode, I came across some research studies where people were looking at, are we really busier today than we were in the past, 20, 30, 50 years ago? Because if you were to ask and survey people, most people would say yes. Yeah, we're busier today than we were back then, because we have a lot more stuff going on. But the reality is that's not true. We're not actually busier. The reality is that we have more things that are basically time-wasting distractions that we give our time to, which means that leaves little to no time left for those meaningful hobbies. So if back in the day people were part of bowling leagues or involved in PTA or other community things, it isn't as if you just got more stuff going on right now that prevents you from doing those things. It's that you're choosing to put your time into things that aren't a great return on your investment, right? They're not giving you something back in exchange. They're just sort of the time wasters or the distractions, because we certainly have many more of those right now. Social media can, in some ways can just be labeled that, the big distraction. At some times, and for some people, definitely. I know that's a way for myself. And so we have more of those things going on right now, which means in order to cultivate a hobby, you have to be much more tuned in to where you're placing your time. Because it's very easy to feel busier right now and feel like you don't have the time because of where you're choosing to invest that time. And not to go off on a little tangent, but being busy is like a badge of honor. And I've worn that badge proudly in the past. But like if somebody asks you, how was your work week? A lot of times people will say, busy. It was busy. Oh, but it was a good busy. Or if you're working at your job, this was the case for me. I worked at a job where if my coworkers were putting in less time than me, I felt superior to them. Right? If I was putting in 12 hours and you only put in 10, then I feel like I could wear that badge of honor. Or if somebody approached me and asked me for some help, but I had half a dozen projects going on and they only had 3 projects going on, I felt, superior because I was busier. And that's something that is very dangerous in terms of being able to experience some peace in your life and not feel fully stressed out by everything you have on your plate. Because being busy most of the time has to do with where you're investing your time, not how important you are or how significant you are. It has more to do with just not properly managing yourself, not properly managing your energy than anything else. And so if you can relate to that, then just reflect on that for yourself. Are you busy because of where you're putting your time that doesn't really matter or doesn't really move the needle for you in any significant way? And are you feeling pride at your busyness, even though your busyness is probably having a negative impact on your health? Right? Because that's what it does. The more busy you feel, the more stressed out you are, the more stressed, the more anxious, and then your body is more susceptible to all sorts of breakdowns and all sorts of health issues. But no, I'm busy, so I get to pull my shoulders back and be proud of that. So I'm just telling you to check that, right? Look at that. Because the story you're telling yourself about your busyness is often denial, because there's a part of you that understands that what you're up to is not healthy and is not something to necessarily be proud of. Again, I'll bring it back to myself because that was the case for me. My busyness was very unhealthy. I created a lot of stress for myself. I didn't know how to relate to that stress in a healthy way. So I drank, and that's how I would relate to it. And then I would judge other people and I would compare myself because I wasn't even busier. So that is my little side tangent wrapped up in a nice bow because, and it is related back to the hobbies idea. Because in order for you to be able to carve out time for that hobbies, you have to release this whole idea of just being overly busy. And for me, what I found is that when I invest my time into hobbies, I feel much less hurried. I feel less time scarce, which might be counterintuitive. But yeah, when I'm stopping to do those things that are hobbies for me, I feel less time scarce. I also feel more peaceful. I feel more centered. I feel more creative. I even feel more productive. All right? I feel happier. I feel more fulfilled when I'm making the time for my hobbies. So there was a great article that I read from Psychology Today called 6 Reasons to Get a Hobby. And I wanted to zoom through those real quick because I thought it was interesting. Hobbies, or one of the first reason to get a hobby is that hobbies help you structure your time, which makes sense. Because if you have to have time for a hobby, then that means you have to be, effective at how you structure all the other time in your day. Hobbies also help promote flow, and there's definitely certain types of hobbies that can help promote flow more than others, and I'll talk about some of those. Hobbies can foster new social connections. Again, totally true, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit. I thought this one was interesting, that hobbies actually make you interesting, which is cool. It's like hobbies bring a greater depth to who you are as you're exploring those different interests and maybe gaining new skills in those interests. You just become more interesting. Hobbies can also help you cope with stress, absolutely. And lastly, the benefits of hobbies can spill over into other aspects of your life. Because if you're feeling, jazzed up and excited about a hobby that you just finished, now you're going to bring that same energy into the next thing that you're working on, whether it's your work or time with your family or whatever it is. And that's an awesome benefit of hobbies as well. So let's jump into the different types of hobbies, the 3 different types of hobbies that you want to have in your life. The first is a physical hobby. You want to have some sort of hobby that gets you moving. That is a deposit into your physical body. That when you do it, it is healing your body or improving your overall health and fitness. You want some sort of hobby like that. So examples include running or jogging, yoga, working out in general. You can dance, hike, do martial arts. There's a lot of things like swimming or bike riding and joining a sports league, right? Those are all examples of physical hobbies. For me, my physical hobby recently for the last several years has been my workouts, my weekly exercise and my workouts. And so you've heard me talk about the Your Day Balance Game, and I use the Your Day Balance Game tools honestly to gamify my physical hobby, to turn it into a game. So what I mean by that is I use the balance chart as a tool to help me build new habits, and a lot of those habits are physical habits. And so I set a bar for myself, and I say every week I want to be playing above that bar, and it just makes it fun, right? I'm like, okay, that means I got to do a little bit every single day to make sure that by the end of the week my average is above that bar that I've set. And that I do that on a daily and a weekly basis, right? Every day I'm doing my habits. Every week I'm doing my habits. And then every 3 months I take a game day, which is a physical assessment. And I play for a certain score in my game day. So that makes it fun for me too. It's like, okay, where was I last time? Okay, got it. So now in these 90 days, I'm going to work on, my handstand presses, or I'm going to work on my squat holds, or I'm going to work on my run. And I'm able to make it fun. And that's why I consider it a hobby, because it's something that I do, in my leisure time that is fun, that I enjoy.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
I also would like to be adding, or some of the physical activities that I would like to add as a hobby include indoor rock climbing. I've done that a couple of times recently, and I love it. It's so much fun. I just haven't made it a priority to go there regularly. That's why I wouldn't call it a hobby. And basketball. I used to play basketball every single day for years and years and years, and I got away from that. So I'd like to, find a local hoop and build that as a hobby as well. So the first type of hobby that you want is a physical hobby. The second type of hobby that you want is a creative hobby, something where you get to exercise some creativity. You get to flex those creative muscles. And there's a whole host of creative hobbies. I mean, anything could be creative. But, some examples are like learning an instrument, reading, writing, singing. For me, gardening is a very creative hobby. Knitting or crafting, painting. Maya loves to paint. I'm sure that girl's going to have a ton of creative hobbies. So painting or drawing or sculpting. Producing music, super creative. I spoke with a young man yesterday who likes to create hip-hop tracks that have sci-fi movie beats to them. I'm like, that's super cool, man. And that's super creative. Graphic design is a creative hobby. Learning new languages. And just like brain games that make you think, like poker or chess, things like that. So there's so many different creative hobbies. And again, they access a different part of your brain. And it accesses a different part of you when you are literally creating something from nothing, or you're having to use those mental muscles in a new and different way. And so right now, my creative hobby is gardening and ukulele. So I've been gardening for several years. I think this is like the 4th year of doing a garden. And today I'll actually be outside, drawing up how I want the garden beds to be and what crops I want in there, and, drawing up the plans for the fence I want to build. That's super creative for me. I get to use my brain in a way that's very different than when I'm podcasting or coaching. And then ukulele as well. That is a super creative hobby for me because I did not come from a musical family. We loved music. We listened to a lot of music, but didn't really play. So learning how to play music has been super challenging. Like the coordination of my fingers, I mean, that stuff, and being able to move it quickly and remember chords, it's super challenging and it's a lot of fun. So that's a creative hobby that I'm excited to explore more because I feel like when I can just jam and make up a song on my own, like that to me is sort of the level I want to get to, where I can just strum and jam and enjoy the sounds I'm creating. The final type of hobby I recommend you work on creating in your life is a money hobby. Now that's a hobby that makes you money. And if it can be a passive money hobby, that's even better, right? Because a money hobby is not necessarily like a second job, right? Remember, a hobby is something that you're doing for fun in your leisure time. So there's a lot of different types of money hobbies. You can have a side business, like a side hustle. That could absolutely be a money hobby. And, there's just so many different types of side business ideas out there. Another money hobby idea is investing, right? Learning how to invest, learning the markets. Another idea is buying and reselling items. That could absolutely be like a side hustle, a side business. And then podcasting. That could absolutely even be a money-making hobby that you have. And that's what we do with doing it at home, right? Like we haven't turned that into a formal business just yet. So it's something that we do for fun. We do it to provide value to people, to new and upcoming parents. But it's very fun for us and it generates money. So having that money hobby is tremendous because a lot of money hobbies can actually turn into full-time income, right? And what's really cool is that if you have created a hobby, again, something that you enjoy, and then you found out a way to monetize it, that is tremendous. in terms of feeling just really fulfilled and happy with your life, right? When the thing that makes you money is something that you really enjoy. That's a level of life quality and life happiness that many, many, many people strive to reach. So what's really great about, building a hobby around it is that there's really no pressure. There's no pressure with a money hobby. It's like, if it makes $5 in a month or a year, cool, whatever. There's no pressure because you're doing it for fun. It's not as if you literally are saying to yourself, I'm going to build this up so that it can replace my full-time income, because that's not necessarily a hobby, right? You want to allow it to just be fun, allow it to be flow, right? Remove that pressure that it has to turn into something and do it simply because you enjoy it. And I'm telling you, when you cultivate a hobby like that and then, you're able to flip the switch and monetize it, that is just a whole different level of awesomeness. And I've experienced it. I've experienced it personally with podcasting, and even back in the day with sneakers, right? I used to love customizing sneakers. It was just something that I would do for myself. And I started posting pictures on different forums of the different sneakers that I had customized and, paint jobs and all this stuff. And then from that, people reached out to me and they said, hey, will you do the same for me? And so I had this little side business where I was customizing sneakers, and it was absolutely super fun for me. I used to think like, man, you're going to pay me hundreds of dollars to paint on your shoes? For real? And so it turned into a little thing for me, but it started out as just pure enjoyment. So again, the 3 types of hobbies that I recommend you work on creating in your life are a physical hobby, a creative hobby, and a money hobby. Now, there is a bonus, a 4th type of hobby that I really think is awesome as well, and that's a social hobby. A social hobby is something that allows you to connect with, network with, socialize with other people. And a lot of times you can have, a physical hobby can also be social. A creative hobby can also be social. A money hobby can also be social. So sometimes it's already, built into some of the other hobbies. But examples of social hobby would be joining a sports team, like a sports league in your neighborhood, or volunteering locally, or joining a travel group, or going to meetup.com and joining any one of those groups and meeting with them regularly. Being a part of the PTA, your kid's school, or some other sort of community organization. Or even coaching youth sports can be a social hobby. Putting together like a game night with your friends. So for me, my social hobbies include being a part of a weekend running group, right? Teaching a fitness class. Both of those also allow me to get that physical hobby in. So that's awesome. And then leading a COI, or a circle of influence. That's a social hobby for me. I do that every single week. So again, having these different types of hobbies, physical, creative, money, and social, they add such a dimension of fulfillment and joy into your life. They really, truly do. So I ask you now, what hobbies would you like to add into your life? What types of hobbies do you currently have, or what types of hobbies do you feel like you're missing that you would like to add into your life? One great takeaway from this episode would be to think about how you can take a step towards creating that new hobby that you want. How can you, what's one step you can take towards creating that hobby today or this week? Maybe it's researching different social groups around you. Maybe it's checking out different physical things, joining some classes, going to Groupon and just buying a pass to some class that you've never done to see if you like it. Or maybe it's doing a time audit on yourself and seeing exactly where you might be wasting your time. Or doing like a time tracker. Like there's different apps you can put on your phone that can track what apps you open up. Same thing for your computer. So maybe you do that to see just how much time that you're spending on the things that you already know are distractions to you and aren't really adding value into your life. That could be a first step for you, just to get a sense of what really is happening. So then you can say, okay, I actually have 2 hours a week that I could apply towards a hobby. So go out there and have it all. Literally go out there and create your abundant loving life and use hobbies as a way to inject meaning and happiness and purpose and fulfillment and joy into your life. My name is Matthew Bivens. Thank you so much for choosing to hang out with me today. And here is to you having it all. Quick note about the Having It All podcast. I am not a doctor nor a licensed therapist. I'm a guy with a story and a passion for conscious conversation. My thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are my own. So please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider regarding any questions or issues you have related to your personal physical or mental health.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.